How you doing? Happy birthday, nephew. That's simple. A lot of like to spend their money. We love to spend our money. We can't take none of this. None. Ain't no armored trucks pulling up at no funerals. Simple. So you better enjoy this. A fool with his money will park. We do this. So when
Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
So this is how it all started, with Rick Ross casually dropping billionaire wisdom like he's the hood's Tony Robbins. Ain't no armored trucks at funerals? Bro, we get it. You're rich, philosophical, and apparently allergic to silence. But this wasn't just another Ross flex. This was the calm before the storm, a storm that would blow $120 million worth of shade straight through hip-hop's front door. Because right after this wholesome happy birthday nephew moment, the internet realized something. Behind the motivational quotes, there was a full-on money scandal brewing. And when it involves Big Meech, Rick Ross, and Lil Meech, you already know it's not about financial advice. It's about betrayal, ego, and a potential $120 million hustle. Now pause, because this is where it gets messy. The same man telling us to enjoy our money is being accused of enjoying someone else's. The streets are whispering that Ross might have finessed Big Meech out of a massive movie deal, turning real-life loyalty into a business play. Let's be real. This sounds like a deleted scene from Power, not real life. But nope, this is 2025 hip-hop, where every bar, every deal, and every Instagram caption turns into a headline. And while Ross is out here talking fool and his money, fans are asking, who's the fool in this situation? Because if these rumors are true, Ross didn't just secure a bag, he secured someone else's legacy with it. But that's not even the wild part, because in the next clip, Lil Meech steps in. And that's when this story goes from motivational to messy.
February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. This be special. Epic. Get your tickets right now. I'm back.
a quick Google search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money, because it gives me anxiety, keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stocks, don't keep looking at that. Drive you crazy.
And there it is, the bomb, the line that broke the timeline. Lil Meech, the son of a legend, just accused Rick Ross of robbing his father blind. $120 million blind. That's not a typo. That's 9 zeros and a betrayal big enough to make even Netflix producers drool. This was supposed to be a BMF movie announcement, a victory lap for the empire. Instead, it turned into an expose that felt more like broke mafia family. Ross out here talking about big budget, but fans were quick to ask, big budget for who exactly? Because Lil Meech isn't accusing him of forgetting to pay studio rent. Nah. This is Hollywood-level scamming energy. A movie deal that was supposed to immortalize his dad's story allegedly turned into a ghost deal, with Ross as the man behind the curtain pulling all the strings. And the timing? Suspiciously perfect. Right when Big Meech gets his freedom and everyone's ready to see the legacy reborn. Boom. Here comes Ross with his "let's make a movie" pitch like he's the hip-hop Spielberg. Fans said it best on X, Rick Ross out here trying to make BMF the new Wingstop commercial. Meanwhile, Reddit's cooking with threads titled, "Ross finessed the streets again," and "Meech got hustled by the hustler." It's poetic in a sick way. The man who rapped, "I think I'm Big Meech," now accused of robbing the real one. But don't blink, because this wasn't just about money. This was the start of a civil war in hip-hop. BMF versus Rick Ross. Loyalty versus clout. And trust me, once the smoke cleared, everybody had to pick a side. Because as one fan put it, if Ross really played Meech, that's not business, that's blasphemy. But it gets worse, because in the next scene, Ross starts rallying the biggest names in the game for one benefit concert. And that's when things spiral into chaos.
Right now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still count paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby.
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent, he owning the rights to...
A legacy concert, huh? That's what Ross called it. But to a lot of people, it looked more like a legacy cash grab. Imagine throwing a tribute party for someone's family and not inviting the family. That's not legacy, that's audacity with a microphone. Ross had the stage lights, the sponsors, the camera crew, everything but the blessing of the people he claimed to be honoring. It's like he forgot BMF wasn't just a brand. It was blood, loyalty, and decades of silence built on trust. And then came the receipts. Fans online started comparing paperwork, concert filings, trademark records, and boom, the so-called BMF Legacy concert wasn't officially tied to the real BMF Foundation at all. The name, trademarked under Ross's new entertainment company. So now the internet's like, hold up, how do you honor a legacy by hijacking it? And the comment sections went nuclear. Ross turned BMF into boss money fraud. He said for Meech, but meant for me. You couldn't scroll 2 seconds without seeing flame emojis and memes of Ross counting invisible cash. And just when people thought it was all rumors, Lil Meech finally dropped his response. Not a tweet, not a post, a full-on video message aimed directly at Ross. What he said next flipped the entire story upside down.
Take a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
And boom, Lil Meech said it plain. No riddles, no PR filters, just straight from the bloodline, fake BMF concert. You could feel the betrayal dripping from that live. This wasn't some petty celebrity shade. This was a son defending his father's legacy from being auctioned off under bright lights and loud speakers. And the irony? Rick Ross literally built his entire persona around being the boss. Now the real son of the real boss is calling him out for being a fraud. Fans went feral. One user wrote, Ross been role-playing for 15 years and finally got caught in his own movie. Another said, Meech is talking legacy. Ross is talking leverage. It's that eternal internet rule. You can cosplay culture, but you can't counterfeit credibility. Especially when the actual family logs on and says, yeah, nah. But here's where it gets messy. Ross didn't stay quiet. Oh no, he did what Ross does best, doubled down like a man holding a grudge and a mic. He clapped back in the most Rick Ross way possible, with a mansion, a bottle, and a whole lot of confidence. And trust me, what he said next made people question whether this was arrogance or just delusion served with lemon pepper wings.
Nigga, a couple weeks ago about a girl that you not even with no more.
We wearing Travis Scotts all week.
What is it with you and Ross that's just been going on for so long?
Nothing else works. For him, outside of mentioning me. When things get bad, you mention me. It gets covered first. I get covered across the board. They get covered on the hip-hop block. It is what it is. And you watch, because I have nothing else to say. You'll just see it happen periodically as it goes. You know, you see that big white elephant, that property he lives at? It costs more than the nightclubs. He's in the nightclubs. What kind of rich cut his own grass? Why you out there cutting your own grass? You trying to save money, nigga? You don't want to pay for the lawn to get cut, huh?
Ain't nothing wrong with cutting your grass.
And there it is, the Rick Ross defense trademark. Man really said, without me, y'all wouldn't even remember BMF. Like, sir, you named yourself after a real drug kingpin, made millions off the story, and now you want a standing ovation for marketing nostalgia? That's like saying, without the Titanic movie, nobody would know the ship sank. Ross's energy here was wild, half motivational speaker, half delusional historian. He's basically rewriting the narrative in real time, positioning himself as the guardian of a legacy he never lived. And that's what really rubbed fans the wrong way. Bro, you didn't revive BMF, you remixed it. Ross turned tribute into trademark. TikTok went nuts with edits, people cutting clips of him saying, "Respect the boss," next to Lil Meech saying, "You're not the boss." The duets were pure chaos. One had a guy eating lemon pepper wings while mouthing, "Show respect." The comment section, 90%. And if you thought Ross was gonna stop there, think again. Because instead of backing down, he escalated and dragged Big Meech himself into the conversation. But the way he did it, straight up manipulative, and maybe the boldest PR move of his career.
Rose just got word. Meech concert not happening tonight, but 3:05 is going down at the office. Meet us there. Bam.
Oh, not the "he called me from inside" card. Ross really pulled out the imaginary collect call from federal prison like it was a Marvel post-credits scene. Because let's be honest, the way he said that had zero receipts, zero proof, just vibes and confidence. The internet was like, "So, we just supposed to take your word that Big Meech called you personally from behind bars to approve your concert?" Because here's the kicker. Federal prison calls are recorded and logged. You can't just hop on live and claim the warden patched you through for a branding conversation. Fans weren't buying it for a second. Twitter was ruthless. Ross got imaginary phone privileges. He talking to Meech on FaceTime from the metaverse. Bro, that was a wrong number from Rikers. It was meme city. And you could feel the tide turning. What started as, maybe Ross means well, shifted into, oh no, this man's playing Monopoly with another man's name. But just when people started clowning him, a mysterious audio leak hit TikTok. Someone claiming to be Big Meech himself, responding to everything. And if that voice was real, it changes everything. You're not ready for what came next.
When that song came out, that's probably like the hottest I ever seen a rapper. People was confronting Ross everywhere, 100 deep, with Larry Hoover Jr. 100 deep to confront Ross about saying the old man name in the song. Even some of the BMF guys for saying he think he Big Meech. When it come to Meech, Meech had guys getting BMF tats on their face in the pen.
And just like that, boom, the so-called brotherly blessing Ross bragged about, completely obliterated in one 15-second audio clip. That voice, allegedly Big Meech, didn't just deny the concert, he disowned it. The phrasing, cold. If it don't come from my son, it's not official. That's legacy talk. That's bloodline talk. That's "you're not one of us" energy. Now, was the clip verified? Not officially. But the internet didn't wait for proof. They declared the verdict in 0.3 seconds flat. One comment said, "Ross about to drop a diss track called Federal Reception Call." Another, "Meech said, you not the boss, you just leased the image." This was the moment the narrative flipped. Overnight, #FakeBMF concert started trending. Even fan pages that used to defend Ross started deleting posts. The tide was shifting faster than Ross could refresh his feed. And in true internet fashion, when one man falls, the memes rise. Suddenly, people were remixing Ross's songs with the leaked audio, stitching "hustling" to "that's not BMF." The irony was chef's kiss. But the real twist? That audio leak didn't just embarrass Ross. It accidentally reignited one of the most dangerous beefs in hip-hop history. And if you know the BMF archives, you already know what storm that unleashed
Big
next.
Meech, entrepreneur, here at 5 Star Smiles to make sure that my smile is right forever. First off, image is everything to me, you know, so the first thing people notice is the smile. So knowing that I was going to be doing probably interviews and stuff like that and being in the limelight, I wanted to make sure that was the first thing I had did. And that's the thing, like a lot of people in prison, they neglect.
Eating off our plate without ever cooking in our kitchen. Bro, that might be the most poetic violation in 2025. Because think about it. Ross built a whole empire off the idea of BMF. The lifestyle, the lingo, the swagger. He turned it into an aesthetic. But the people who live that life, they're saying, nah, you just turned our survival story into a Spotify playlist. And this is where the story gets deep. For years, hip-hop blurred the line between inspiration and imitation, rappers borrowing real street stories to build personas. But Ross? He took that concept and franchised it. Now the OGs are waking up like, wait, dude's selling out arenas off the same name we nearly lost our lives over. Reddit threads went wild. Ross really did side quests with another man's reputation. This is like Fast and Furious without Vin Diesel. You can't fake family. And on TikTok, people started posting split-screen edits. On one side, the real BMF archives. On the other, Ross's Rich Forever mansion clips. The caption, 2 worlds, 1 lie. Even fans who used to defend Ross started going quiet. Because the deeper you dig into the history, the harder it gets to separate the rapper from the role he's been playing. And if this were just about music, it might have died down. But one major label insider leaked something that flipped this from a petty feud into a full-blown legal nightmare. Yeah, lawyers got involved. Oh, so it's no longer just Twitter beef. This is courtroom beef. The type with suits, subpoenas, and shade thrown in legalese. Because once lawyers get involved, you know it's serious. It's not, he said, she said anymore. It's Exhibit A, Your Honor. Ross went from hustling to possibly litigating. The man who once rapped, can't stop, won't stop, might soon be saying, I plead the fifth. Here's what makes this wild. The BMF name isn't just a street legend, it's an intellectual property now. The real family's been trying to turn it into documentaries, merch, and even community outreach projects. So when Ross launches a legacy concert using that same name, that's not homage anymore, that's competition. TikTok lawyers, aka the internet's favorite detectives, broke it down like this. If Ross profited from the BMF name without authorization, that's brand infringement. If he trademarked it first, that's brand hijacking. Either way, it's messy, and fans are calling it poetic justice. The same boss persona that built his fame could now legally backfire. But instead of cooling off or lawyering up quietly, Ross did the exact opposite. He went bigger, announced another event, doubled down on the brand, and the next clip? Oh, it's pure chaos. The man literally threw gasoline on a fire, then danced in it.
So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino, it's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
This man really said, you can't cancel a boss, while doubling down on the exact thing he's being dragged for. Like, bro, this ain't confidence. This is audacity in HD. Ross out here treating backlash like a marketing campaign. Every time the internet throws a red flag, he sees a green light. The energy is, if controversy was currency, I'd be Forbes' top 10. And the irony? He's not wrong. The numbers were going up. His concert streams spiked, followers climbed, and hashtags with his name were trending across TikTok and X. The more people canceled him, the more free promo he got. But here's the dark side. That boss mentality only works when the receipts match the talk. And right now, the receipts are screaming fraud louder than the fans at his show. Reddit was merciless. This man really said, respect my hustle, while hustling the wrong legacy. Ross is the first rapper to get canceled and sponsored in the same week. Even hip-hop commentators started jumping in, saying Ross is risking his entire image. Because once you start playing with legacy and family ties, you stop being an artist and start being a liability. But instead of damage control, Ross did something nobody expected. He invited Lil Meech to join the next concert, live on camera. And that moment, oh, it sent the entire internet into meltdown mode.
I go picture with Rick Ross. You like a hoe, nigga. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
Not, I'm extending my hand. Ross out here acting like the final boss in a redemption arc no one asked for. The internet lost it. Because, like, you just got accused of exploiting someone's family name, and your response is to invite their son on stage? That's not an olive branch. That's a publicity stunt dipped in delusion. Fans were clowning him in real time. This man said, "Let's make peace," while still selling tickets. Ross trying to co-parent a brand he didn't birth. TikTok creators were duetting the clip like, "Bro wants forgiveness and free promo in one sentence." One edit even had Squidward saying, "Please stop embarrassing yourself, Mr. Krabs." But here's the twist. Ross wasn't trolling. He was dead serious. He even said he'd donate a portion of the proceeds to BMF initiatives. But fans started asking which initiatives, because no one could find a trace of where that money was supposed to go. So now, the internet had questions. Where's the donation link? Where's the paperwork? Where's the actual BMF rep confirming this? Silence. Just vibes and flexes. And that silence? It started sounding like guilt. Because literally 48 hours later, Lil Meech posted something that turned this peace offering into a full-blown public takedown. And what he said ended any illusion of reconciliation.
February 13th, the Big Meech benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. It'll be special. Epic. Get your tickets right now. I'm back.
Boom. Lil Meech just flipped the entire internet upside down. That one sentence hit harder than any diss track this year, because for the first time, the son of Big Meech himself called out Rick Ross directly. No middlemen, no subliminals, just raw truth. Twitter exploded like it was the Super Bowl halftime show. Fans were quoting it everywhere. "You ain't built nothing, you stole it." That line became an instant meme, plastered on edits, t-shirts, even graffiti walls in Atlanta. Within minutes, hip-hop blogs were eating it up. Headlines screaming, "Lil Meech exposes Rick Ross for BMF lies." Ross's legacy under fire. The real BMF speaks out. And while Ross was still reposting memes and flashing Maybach keys, the narrative had officially shifted. This wasn't just another rap beef. This was about respect, legacy, and ownership. Because when the real bloodline of BMF says you're faking the movement, every flex, every post, every dollar you made off that name starts to look dirty. And then, the most unexpected person jumped in. Someone who hadn't said a word in months. But when they did, it silenced the whole internet.
You took a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
And just like that, Curtis Jackson entered the chat. 50 didn't raise his voice. He didn't rant. He didn't even drop a diss track. He just let that smirk and those few words do more damage than 100 bars ever could. Because that's what made it hit. The calm confidence of a man watching his prophecy come true in real time. Ross's empire of illusion was cracking, and the one man who warned everyone years ago was now sipping champagne over the wreckage. Social media erupted, memes everywhere. Ross photoshopped as the clout collector, 50 holding a chessboard saying, "Checkmate, fatty." And then Power Universe actors, Tariq, Michael Rainey Jr., Kanan, even Joseph Sikora, Tommy, started reposting that clip with captions like, "50 been said that. The streets remember." It wasn't just a roast, it was a public vindication. And this time, Ross couldn't just laugh it off. He tried to spin it, saying, "I'm too rich to respond," but the internet wasn't buying it. Every comment section was flooded with, "Too rich to respond, but not too rich to scam." 50 living rent-free again. The power dynamic flipped overnight. The biggest boss looked cornered, while 50 was trending like a king who'd just reclaimed his throne. But just when everyone thought it was over, something leaked. Something that proved Ross might have been lying about that $120 million deal all along.
You took a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
And boom, there it was. The so-called $120 million film contract that Ross bragged about for months finally saw daylight, and it looked faker than a Gucci belt from AliExpress. Every document had red flags, no studio watermark, no legal signatures. Even the font was Comic Sans, Comic Sans. Fans started dissecting it frame by frame, and one Twitter user literally zoomed in and found a spelling mistake in the company name. It said Maybach Entertainment. Comment sections were on fire. Ross finessed with Microsoft Word. Ain't no way Netflix uses Gmail. $120 million and you used Canva Premium? Within hours, film insiders confirmed what everyone already suspected. There was no deal, no studio, no investors, just another Ross flex gone wrong. But here's where it got darker. A leaked text allegedly from one of Ross's former managers claimed that Meech never saw a single dollar from that deal, not even a consultation fee. The whole pitch was built on Ross's name alone. No contracts, no cosigns, no back end. That revelation didn't just make Ross look like a liar, it made him look like a predator in a tailored suit, someone who hunts for legacies to feed his own relevance. And while Ross stayed quiet, unfollowing blogs, deleting old posts, 50 Cent turned the knife even deeper. He went on Instagram and dropped one line that froze the entire culture.
Yes, Charleston White is correct. I'm a rapper, not a dealer. Be sure to catch my new show, 50 Cent, 50 Ways to Catch You.
You could practically hear the internet combust when 50 dropped that live. The man didn't even have to raise his voice, he just let sarcasm do the heavy lifting. Because let's be real, nobody trolls with surgical precision like 50 Cent. This man throws shade like it's an Olympic sport. The comments were instant chaos. 50 been waiting on this moment. He's not even mad, he's just amused. That's how you know Ross cooked. Imagine beefing with a dude who owns the rights to your documentary. And here's the crazy thing, 50 wasn't even lying. There was no production budget, no studio backing, not even a copyright filing for a BMF movie under Ross's name. All Ross had was a microphone, a mansion, and a mouth. It was the perfect setup for 50's brand of revenge, not through violence, not through diss tracks, but through facts. He started reposting old clips of Ross contradicting himself, side by side with timestamps and laughing emojis. He turned the man's flex into a meme, and the best part? Ross's silence spoke louder than any verse he could have dropped. When 50 said Ross must be filming next to the chickens, fans went digging and found videos of Ross actually doing interviews beside his pet cows and goats. That became the new meme. The $120 million barn production. But that's not even the wild part. Because just when Ross thought the jokes would die down, one of his old Maybach music artists stepped in, and they didn't hold back.
Trying to decide how we gonna roll at this Meech concert tonight. 2 lambs, 4 Raris, 5 double R's, something like that.
And that was the dagger. Meek didn't say a name. He didn't have to. Everybody in hip-hop connected the dots instantly because the timing, too perfect, the tone, too specific, and the internet, too hungry. Within minutes, Meek Mill and Ross were trending together again, with fans dropping side-by-side clips from their past interviews. Meek calling Ross a mentor in 2012. Meek avoiding Ross questions in 2024. People started revisiting that 2019 video, the one where Meek refused to perform at Ross's birthday party, and suddenly, it all made sense. What was once dismissed as just label drama now looked like a pattern. A pattern of artists signing under the biggest boss and walking away broke, bitter, or betrayed. And the craziest part? The more Ross tried to ignore it, the louder it got. YouTube channels were spinning full documentaries, The Fall of the Biggest Boss, how Rick Ross lost the streets, from BMF to Broke My Family. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was doing what 50 does best. He didn't even need to post new content anymore. He just reposted fan edits. One meme showed Ross holding a fake movie check while 50 stood behind him like a teacher grading an F paper. Caption, "When your movie budget came from Wish.com." The narrative flipped completely. Ross wasn't the boss anymore. He was the butt of the joke. And while everyone laughed, Lil Meech, the one person at the center of it all, finally broke his silence.
I've seen a lot of about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for it. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick.
And just like that, Lil Meech flipped the table. This wasn't PR polished, it wasn't some staged promo moment. It was raw emotion, the kind that shakes a whole brand to its core. Because when the real bloodline of BMF calls you out, you can't hide behind album covers and luxury cars anymore. You either got receipts or you get roasted. And Lil Meech wasn't just talking, he was unloading years of quiet tension. He basically said what the streets had been whispering. Ross didn't build the BMF brand, he borrowed it. He used it as aesthetic, as marketing, as that gritty, real credibility the rap world eats up, but never paid homage the way he should have. Fans went feral on social media. One viral tweet said, "Meech ain't yelling, he testifying." Another on TikTok went, "Ross built an empire off another man's struggle, and now the heir just repossessed it." Brutal. Reddit threads were titled, "Ross finally getting exposed by the source." And even hip-hop historians jumped in, dropping old photos and contracts from Ross's BMF mentions in his early days. It was turning into a legacy war, one side built from reality, the other from rap marketing. And you could feel it. This wasn't just internet drama anymore. This was personal, generational, and public all at once. But here's the crazy part. While everyone thought Lil Meech was just defending his father's name, behind the scenes, something way darker was being pieced together. Something that might prove Ross' $120 million story wasn't just exaggerated. It might have been fabricated from the start.
Search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money, because it give me anxiety keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that. It's gonna drive you crazy.
And that's when everything snapped. Because that one leaked call, it didn't just add fuel to the fire, it dropped a gasoline truck right on top of it. A mysterious insider, voice blurred, name hidden, claimed that Ross's so-called $120 million deal wasn't a purchase, wasn't even a partnership. It was allegedly just a distribution advance, a glorified loan dressed up as a flex. Basically, he didn't own the house, he just rented it and told everyone he built it. And once that clip hit social media, the internet detectives clocked in immediately. Financial bloggers started digging into Ross's LLC filings. TikTok finance creators ran breakdowns of his business model with the caption, "Math ain't mathing, boss." One viral video even used Ross's own interview quotes against him. Side-by-side moments of him bragging about ownership next to financial records showing zero stake in those companies. It was bad. Like, delete your captions, turn off comments, and pray for a miracle bad. And Ross, silent. Not a peep. No tweets. No, let's get this straight posts. Just a few motivational quotes on Instagram like, "Lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep." But fans weren't sheep anymore. They were forensic accountants with Wi-Fi. Every comment under his post was brutal. "Sheep got calculators now." "Lions don't fake contracts, Rick." "Biggest boss?" More like biggest bluff. Even DJ academics chimed in, saying on stream, "If this is true, Ross basically lied for a decade straight." It was a full-on credibility collapse, one that no luxury car or mansion flex could distract from. And just when the memes were reaching nuclear level, someone unexpected entered the chat with receipts that could bury Ross for good.
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent, he owning the rights to...
When DJ Khaled, the king of positivity, starts talking like a disappointed uncle, you know the storm just got biblical. Because Khaled never does drama, ever. He's the good vibes only guy, the let's win together guy. So for him to even hint that Ross might be part of the fake flex epidemic, that was like Santa Claus saying he's losing faith in Christmas. And let's be real, everyone knew what he was talking about. He didn't name drop, but the timing was too suspicious. Right after the leaked call, right after the $120 million lie started falling apart. Khaled's "we ain't gotta lie to look successful" hit like a scripture. The internet exploded. People were posting mashups of Khaled saying "God did" over Ross interviews where he bragged about deals that now looked faker than a Walmart Rolex. Memes everywhere. Rick Ross, "I made $120 million last year." DJ Khaled, "God didn't." Even old collaborators started quietly distancing themselves. No reposts, no support, just silence. Meanwhile, Lil Meech posted a photo of his father with the caption, "Real legends don't need to exaggerate." Subtle, deadly. And suddenly the narrative wasn't about Ross versus 50 inches anymore. It was about authenticity versus illusion. a full-blown culture shift moment. Because if one of hip-hop's biggest moguls could fake a deal that large, who else was lying but the wildest twist? Right when people thought Ross was finished, he dropped something that shocked everyone. A move so bold, so desperate, so cinematic. It made people wonder if this was all part of a master plan.
Gentleman's side of Meech, right? Yep. The plane lands Friday night. It's like 12 midnight. Alex calls me. He's like, yo, Chris, Meech needs the biggest suite in Cancun. I'm like, I ain't no travel agent. He's like, no. When I landed, they told me that you got the presidential suite at the Coral Beach. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I love Meech, but I'm not giving him my room. I'm like, yo, man, I'm not giving him our room. He's like, he'll give you $60,000 right now. I was paying $3,000 a night. He had that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But here's the gentleman's side of me. I switched to another suite. I get a phone call. I'm like, yo, what's up? Who's this? He's like, yo, is this Chris Latimer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, we up in the presidential suite. I got some messages from you. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Tell me what they are. And I'm like, yo, brother, man, thanks a lot, man. Yo, tell Meech, good looking out, man. He's like, Chris, it is Meech.
That's important because a lot of people don't understand. To get to the top, you have to pay attention to every small detail. And knowing me calling him hear my voice, he knows the kind of man that I am.
And just like that, Ross pulled the final boss move, literally. Instead of explaining, apologizing, or even clarifying, he doubled down. He wrapped himself in luxury like armor and said, "You can't cancel a king." But this time, the kingdom wasn't cheering, because what used to look like power now looked like panic with a filter. The champagne flexes, old. The mansion backdrop, familiar. The self-made line, overused to the point of parody. Even fans who once worshipped the biggest boss were in the comments like, "Bro, this ain't motivation anymore. It's delusion." Mindset can't fix missing $120 million. A boss without receipts is just an influencer with better lighting. And yet, here's the twisted genius of it all. Ross still won in a way, because every repost, every reaction, every meme, it all fed back into him. He knew people couldn't look away. That's the paradox of modern fame. You can lose the truth and still keep the traffic. You can fall from grace and still trend higher than ever. How you doing? Happy birthday, nephew. That's simple. A lot of people love to spend their money. We love to spend our money. We can't take none of this with us. None. Ain't no armored trucks pulling up at funerals, right? It's simple, so you better enjoy it. A fool and his money will park. That's just how we do it. Yeah. Now, here's where the story really twists. Lil Meech just shook the entire hip-hop scene to its core. He dropped accusations claiming Rick Ross scammed Big Meech out of a jaw-dropping $120 million. And as soon as those words hit social media, the streets exploded. Whispers turned into arguments, threads turned into viral debates, and suddenly, the quiet speculation became a full-blown war. BMF versus Rick Ross, with no one backing down. The upcoming Big Meech benefit concert, which was supposed to be iconic, featuring Lil Baby, Boss Man, DLO, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, and Ricky Ross, now carried the weight of this unfolding drama. People were buying tickets, thinking they were witnessing a celebration of legacy, but underneath, chaos was brewing. For years, fans thought they knew the story. Big Meech, recently released from prison, was ready to rebuild his empire the right way, through films, business ventures, and generational moves. A dream comeback, complete with high-budget film deals, luxury brand collaborations, and a global BMF franchise. But behind the glitz and the talk of Hollywood legends, the streets were buzzing with a different story. Ross was allegedly smooth-talking, flashing connections, promising massive numbers, yet delivering nothing. No movie, no paperwork, just hype. And as the story unfolded, every familiar face in the streets, every fan on X, Reddit, TikTok, started questioning what loyalty really meant and whether Big Meech had been set up for a public spectacle instead of a genuine legacy rebuild. Ross's approach was textbook. He showed up, big numbers, flashy promises, the allure of Hollywood glamour. But insiders say it was all smoke and mirrors. What looked like mentorship and collaboration was actually manipulation. He walked away richer, leaving BMF's name tangled in confusion. People started connecting dots with his previous moves. Meek Mill, Drake, Larry Hoover, and a pattern emerged. Ross had a history of leveraging credibility built by others to amplify his own shine. The streets were watching closer than ever, and suddenly, the narrative became undeniable. This wasn't friendship, this was business, and loyalty alone couldn't save anyone from getting played. Meanwhile, 50 Cent, the man who actually built the modern BMF legacy, was not staying quiet. From day one, he funded the series, paid for Lil Meech's acting lessons, and gave him a platform to transform from a street kid into a TV star. But instead of loyalty being reciprocated, Lil Meech aligned with Ross, sparking a quiet war behind the scenes that eventually turned public. 50 Cent, with surgical precision, began trolling Ross online. Wingstop jokes at prison addresses, screenshots, side-by-side contradictions, everything meticulously designed to expose the truth while keeping the audience entertained. And the internet responded in kind. Memes, TikTok edits, Twitter threads, every angle dissected, every slip magnified. Lil Meech, meanwhile, tried to maintain appearances, smiles for the cameras, club appearances, posing alongside Ross, but the streets weren't buying it. Fans, online communities, and hip-hop historians all questioned the authenticity of the partnership. Tony Yo and others reminded the world that 50 Cent had been there from the start, offering genuine mentorship without gimmicks. And as pressure mounted, the cracks started to show. Fame slowed, money slowed, frustration seeped in. Even actors like Michael Rainey Jr. jumped into the commentary, highlighting that grown men should have seen this coming, igniting further chaos across social media. Ross, true to form, attempted to flip the narrative. He hyped a new big-budget BMF movie, dropped legendary director names like F. Gary Gray and Tarantino, and portrayed it as a Hollywood coup. But fans and insiders weren't fooled. Wack 100 called him out publicly, labeling Ross the real villain and exposing him as a manipulator who used the BMF name for cheap clout, while 50 Cent was quietly protecting the legacy. The cycle became obvious. Ross parades loyalty and respect for street legends, amplifies his own image, and walks away when attention dips. Meanwhile, the people he connects with, whether it's Meek Mill, Larry Hoover, or Big Meech, are left to clean up the mess. The internet wasn't just watching, it was analyzing. Every screenshot, every old interview, every side-by-side clip built a damning pattern. Ross's self-made, self-paid, self-certified image collided with reality. No actual $120 million deal, no contract, just promises and viral headlines. Fans, now forensic in their approach, compared his public statements against financial filings, previous collaborations, and historical behavior. The conclusion? Ross thrives on visibility, leveraging legitimacy built by others, and consistently repackages it as personal glory. The more people dug, the more the narrative solidified. He's a repeat player, building his empire off borrowed legacy. Even DJs, industry legends, and collaborators started hinting at the same truth. DJ Khaled, known for positivity and avoiding conflict, called out the culture of exaggeration, signaling that even peers within the hip-hop circle saw through the act. Memes exploded, combining Khaled's "God did" line with Ross's hyperbolic boasts, painting him as out of touch with authenticity. Lil Meech's raw, emotional call to defend his father's legacy only amplified this narrative, highlighting generational tensions and drawing a sharp contrast between genuine legacy and performative clout. Leaked recordings, insider voices, and social media breakdowns further dismantled the myth. Alleged label insiders claimed the $120 million deal was smoke and mirrors, a distribution advance framed as ownership money, creating a disconnect between public perception and actual business reality. Fans, meme creators, and commentators didn't just notice, they celebrated the unmasking. TikTok creators re-edited Ross's interviews, juxtaposing his words with evidence, turning his own claims into content that ridiculed him. Ross's silence during this period was deafening. Meanwhile, Lil Meech began to reclaim the narrative. Speaking directly on Instagram Live, he emphasized respect, generational ownership, and truth, calling out those leveraging his father's legacy for personal gain. Fans, Reddit threads, and Twitter debates turned the spotlight toward authenticity versus illusion, and the story of BMF transformed from a celebration of legacy into a cautionary tale about mentorship, manipulation, and media spectacle. The culture was witnessing a masterclass in exposure, where the quiet, methodical builder, 50 Cent, exposed the flashy, attention-seeking player, Rick Ross, without firing a shot. As the tension reached its peak, leaked recordings, insider confirmations, and industry voices like Meek Mill and DJ Khaled painted a complete picture. Ross's public persona of success and empire building was increasingly contrasted with behind-the-scenes patterns of unfulfilled promises, missing checks, and manipulation. Each move, each Instagram post, and each public statement became part of a wider story illustrating the gap between image and reality. The streets, fans, and industry observers saw the long-term pattern. Ross consistently builds his shine on the credibility of others, exploiting legacy and loyalty while ensuring he remains the center of attention. And yet, in the most Ross way possible, he doubled down. Public videos flaunting wealth, private jets, champagne, and luxury cars became his armor. Mindset over paperwork, he claimed, trying to reassert dominance even as the evidence stacked against him. Fans criticized, laughed, and created viral memes, but the paradox remained. In the attention economy of modern celebrity, he still commanded eyes, clicks, and discussion. He proved that even in apparent defeat, visibility is power. The broader lesson in all this is clear. One man builds, the other borrows. Real legacy requires patience, respect, and authenticity, not just viral moments, Instagram flexes, or exaggerated claims. 50 Cent's strategy contrasted sharply, turning pain into storytelling, loyalty into empires, and history into billion-dollar productions. Meanwhile, Ross's approach consistently prioritized clout, spectacle, and self-image, often at the expense of others' reputations. Fans connected the dots, noticing the pattern repeating across multiple eras of Ross's career, from MMG artists to street legends. As everything unfolded, Lil Meech worked to reclaim the narrative for BMF, advocating respect for his father's legacy and highlighting the manipulation he and others experienced. The social media reaction, memes, insider leaks, and commentary from peers created a cultural reckoning, exposing the truth behind Ross's public persona. Each interview, every Instagram clip, and every meme amplified a single message. Legacy cannot be borrowed, and exploitation is always temporary in the court of public opinion. By the time Ross uploaded his final public Instagram video, flaunting his mansion, jets, and luxury lifestyle, the audience had already judged him. He doubled down, flaunting confidence, but the kingdom wasn't cheering anymore. Comments flooded with skepticism, disbelief, and viral mockery. The empire may have looked intact on the surface, but the credibility, trust, and authenticity he traded for clout had been systematically deconstructed. The streets knew the pattern, the fans knew. Even industry insiders were speaking openly. Ross's shine, no matter how bright, had a shadow, one built from borrowed legacy, broken promises, and manipulation of narratives. And so, the saga stands as a masterclass in modern fame, exposure, and media manipulation. The question lingers for viewers. Was Ross ever loyal, or was it all just a calculated play for clout? Because when you lay it all out, the evidence speaks louder than any headline. Big Meech's name deserved better. His legacy was meant to symbolize redemption, influence, and a true generational story, not a backdrop for someone else's attention chase. The $120 million deal, the flashy Instagram posts, the promises of Hollywood fame, all of it looks smaller against the reality of what really went down. Fans are waking up to the pattern. They see the cycles of borrowed credibility, of flashy gestures masking empty promises, and of fame built on the backs of others. Meanwhile, 50 Cent quietly continues to build, turning real stories into long-lasting empires, while Ross chases the immediate glare of the spotlight. One plays chess, the other plays checkers. One builds, the other borrows. And the streets, the culture, the fans, they're all taking notes. So, what's next for BMF? Can Lil Meech reclaim the trust and respect that was jeopardized? Can Big Meech take back control of his name and ensure his story is told properly? The answers aren't simple, and only time will tell how the fallout reshapes loyalty, legacy, and the business of hip-hop. One thing is crystal clear. The streets now know exactly who's who. Real ones build, fake ones borrow, and every move, every headline, every flex, it's all being analyzed, documented, and remembered. Rick Ross's playbook has been exposed, and the pattern is undeniable. Every time he steps into someone else's world, he walks away with attention while others deal with the fallout. It's a lesson in power, ego, and the thin line between mentorship and exploitation. If you're tuned into this drama, drop your thoughts in the comments. Who's really winning this war? Who's just playing the game for clout? Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more stories that dig into the truth behind the culture. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video on your screen for even more juicy celebrity chaos, betrayals, and stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. See you in the next one.